Erikson's theories of development. Erik Erikson was born June 15, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. His mother was Carla Abrahamson. Erik Erikson did not know his real father and was raised by his stepfather, Dr. Theodor Hamburger. The fact that Hamburger was not Erikson's biological father was concealed from him for many years, and when Erik found out the truth, Erikson was left with a feeling of confusion about who he really was. The mystery over Erikson's biological parentage served as one of the key forces behind his later interest in identity formation. He often felt confused about who he was and how he fit into the community. Erik Erikson's identity was further developed by his experiences in school. During grammar school, Erikson was rejected because of his Jewish background. These early experiences helped fuel his interest and continued to influence his work throughout his life. He never received a formal degree in medicine or psychology, and after completing high school, Erikson moved to Florence to pursue his interest in art. Erikson did a brief stint in art school, but dropped out and spent time wandering Europe with friends and contemplating his identity. In 1927, Erikson became an art teacher at a psychoanalytically enlightened school, started by Dorothy Burlingham and Anna Freud in Vienna. Erikson earned a certificate from the Marie Montessori School, and he embarked on a psychoanalytic training at the Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute. In 1936, Erikson joined the Institute for Human Relations, part of the Department of Psychiatry at Yale. Erikson met a Canadian dance instructor named Joan Serson, and they married in 1930. They had 4 children, Sue, John, Neil, and KT. Neil Erikson was born mentally handicapped and was predicted by the doctors to live no more than 1 to 2 years. Erikson and his wife conceded to the doctor's recommendations and institutionalized their son. They told their other children that Neil had died, and eventually the truth resurfaced. Neil lived his entire 21 years escorted in the institution. Erikson moved to the United States in 1933. Despite having no formal degree, was offered a teaching position at Harvard Medical School. In addition to his position at Harvard, he also had a private practice in child psychoanalysis. Erikson later held a teaching position at the University of Berkeley, Yale, the San Francisco Psychoanalytic Institute, Austin Rick Center, and the Center for Advanced Studies of Behavioral Sciences. Theory of Development, Psychosocial Stage 1, Trust versus Mistrust. The first stage of Erikson's theory of psychosocial development occurs between birth and 1 year of age and is the most fundamental stage in life. Because an infant is utterly dependent, developing trust is based on the dependability and quality of a child's caregiver. At this point in development, the child is utterly dependent upon adult caregivers for everything they need to survive, such as food, love, warmth, safety, and nurturing. If a caregiver fails to provide adequate care and love, the child will come to feel that he or she cannot trust or depend upon the adults in his or her lives. If a child successfully develops trust, he or she will feel safe and secure in the world. Caregivers who are inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or rejecting contribute to feelings of mistrust in the children they care for. Failure to develop trust will result in fear and a belief that the world is inconsistent and unpredictable. Erikson believes that successful development was all about striking a balance between the 2 opposing sides. When this happens, children acquire hope, which Erikson described as an openness to experience tempered by some wariness that danger may present. Stage 2, Autonomy versus Shame and Doubt. The second stage of Erikson's theory of psychosocial development takes place during early childhood and is focused on children developing a greater sense of personal control. Erikson believed that by allowing children to make a choice and gain control, parents and caregivers can help children develop a sense of autonomy. Other important events include gaining more control over food choices, toy preferences, and clothing selections. Children who successfully complete this stage feel secure and confident, while those who do not are left with a sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. Erikson believes that achieving a balance between autonomy and shame and doubt will lead to will, which is a belief that children can act with intention without reason and limit. Stage 3, Initiative versus Guilt. The third stage of psychosocial development takes place during the preschool years. At this point, children begin to assert their power and control over the world through directing play and other social interactions. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Children who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-doubt, and a lack of initiative. When an ideal balance of individual initiative and willingness to work with others is achieved, the ego quality known as purpose emerges. Stage 4, industry versus inferiority. The fourth psychosocial stage takes place during the early years of approximately age 5 to 11. Their social interactions, children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. Children who are encouraged and commended by parents and teachers develop a feeling of confidence and belief in their skills. Those who receive little or no encouragement from parents, teachers, or peers will doubt their abilities to be successful. Successfully finding a balance at this state of psychosocial development leads to the strength known as competence or belief in our own abilities to handle the tasks set before us. Stage 5, identity versus confusion. The fifth psychosocial stage takes place during the sometimes turbulent teenage years. This stage plays an essential role in developing a sense of personal identity which will come to influence behavior and development for the rest of a person's life. During adolescence, children explore their independence and develop a sense of self. Those who receive a proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from this stage with a strong sense of self and a feeling of independence and control. Those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desires will feel insecure and confused about themselves in the future. Completing this stage successfully leads to fidelity, which Erikson described as an ability to live by society's standards and expectations. Stage 6, intimacy versus isolation. This stage covers the period of early adulthood when people are exploring personal relationships. Erikson believed that it's vital that people develop close committed relationships with other people. Those who are successful at this step will form relationships that are enduring and secure. Erikson believed that a strong sense of personal identity was important for developing intimate relationships. Studies have demonstrated that those with a poor sense of self do tend to have less committed relationships and are more likely to suffer emotional isolation and alone. Successful resolution of this stage results in a virtue known as love. It is marked by the ability to form lasting, meaningful relationships with other people. Stage 7. During adulthood, we continue to build our lives focusing on our career and family. Those who are successful during this phase will feel they are contributing to the world by being active in their home and community. Those who fail to attain this skill will feel unproductive and uninvolved in the world. Care is the virtue achieved when this stage is handled successfully. Being proud of your accomplishments, watching your children grow into adults, and developing a sense of unity with your life partner are important accomplishments of this stage. Stage 8, integrity versus despair. The final psychosocial stage occurs during old age and is focused on reflecting back on life. At this point in development, people look back on the events of their lives and determine if they are happy with the life that they lived or if they regret the things that they did or did not do. Those who are unsuccessful during this stage will feel that their lives have been wasted and will experience many regrets. The individual will be left with a feeling of bitterness and despair. Those who feel proud of their accomplishments will feel a sense of integrity. Successfully completing this phase means looking back with few regrets and a general feeling of satisfaction. These individuals will attain wisdom even when confronting death. Erikson has written virtually every introductory psychological textbook. His claim to fame rests on the fact that as a developmental psychologist, he was one of the first to discuss human development across the human lifespan from birth to death. Erikson discussed various stages of human development in terms of opposing forces meant to be reconciled for the successful transition to the next stage. Of interest to the issue of guiding principle is the final stage of life Erikson talks about. The opposing forces to be reconciled are conceived as integrity versus despair. Erikson was influenced by the work of cultural anthropologists like Fran Boas, Ruth Benedict, Margaret Mead, and Gregory Bateson, as well as by the theories of Sigmund Freud and his own experiences with psychoanalysis. Erikson began formulating his own highly fertile and original viewpoint on child development. Fran Boas was one of the pioneers of modern anthropology and is often called the father of American anthropology. His most significant achievement within anthropology was to change the prevailing new view from cultural evolution to one of the cultural relativism. Ruth Benedict was an American anthropologist who focused much of her work on culture and personality. She entered the field of anthropology from a strong humanistic background and continued that throughout her work. Margaret Mead was an anthropologist best known for her studies of the non-literate people of Oceania, especially with regard to various aspects of psychology and culture, the cultural conditioning of sexual behavior, natural characteristics, and cultural change. Gregory Bateson, most important book, Navian, was a groundbreaking study of cultural symbolism ritual based on the fieldwork of New Guinea. His interests include problems of learning and communication among schizophrenics. Throughout most of Erikson's life, he was heavily identified as a writer and produced significant books and papers. His excellence in the area was acknowledged upon the publication of his extensive work on the life and personality of Mahatma Gandhi, Gandhi's Truth. The book earned him both the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award. After his retirement from Harvard in 1970, Erikson continued writing, doing research, and occasional lecturing. In 1980, serious health problems, including prostate cancer, forced Erikson into full retirement. Erikson died in 1994 at the age of 91, passing peacefully in his sleep. Erikson's influence on teaching practices. Stages 3 to 4, 4 to 6 years, initiative versus guilt. A child in this stage is starting to make decisions and carry them out, primarily through play activity. Imagination is the key. A sense of purpose develops when she is able to envision something in their imagination and pursue it. Such initiative must be encouraged. Stage 4, 12 to 19 years, identity versus role confusion. These are the years when a child can begin to work hard academically and gain confidence in various areas of activity. It is vitally important to help the child feel that they can pursue a task and do it well. In this age group, there is a tendency for teachers to excuse lack of skill. Small learning targets may be set in a variety of areas. Juniors in middle school is a time to validate his or her own multiple talents and build a work ethic. Stage 5, 12 to 19 years, identity versus confusion. These questions arise. Who am I? What are my values? And what is my identity? Identity is defined as the ability to exercise choice. This is the last stage relevant to school education. For Erikson, this is also the stage where values have to be chosen, beliefs understood, and the self explored. Erikson says that adolescents are often influenced by role models and tend to imitate and hold their value. Individuating without rebellion is important for a healthy sense of self. It is important for an open and warm relationship between the adult and the young adolescent, which will keep channels of communication open. The limitations of theory. Any theory must be understood. Any theory is just a framework and cannot be substituted for, but only aids the teacher's ability to observe and respond to students. The importance of Erikson's work for teachers. Erikson is one of the few psychoanalysts that has actually keyed in one of the most difficult periods of human development, adolescence. Erikson has enough schema to pinpoint the major issues that arise from aging of each developmental level. He was able to divide ages into subgroups and explain each one according to the issues that come up. One area in which developmental knowledge can influence your teaching is the expectations you hold for your students. As a teacher, you will be continually questioning whether your classroom goals and objectives are appropriate for your students. Teachers will want to know not only whether a particular skill is appropriate to a student's cognitive ability, but also how much time will be required to learn it. Knowledge about a child's particular development level prior to the developmental achievements and the next developmental hurdles to be crossed will help a teacher decide what to teach and how to teach it. Developmental knowledge can also help students who are experiencing learning and adjustment problems. Developmental psychology can help teachers identify the many forces that affect growth, maturation, learning, and development that affect your students' behaviors. It can also make you more understanding of the varieties of behavior you will find among students.